Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Little Rock, where love is our teaching and service is our prayer. My name is Barrett Goodwin. I am a member of the Grounds Committee. I'm an usher on occasion. And I'm so happy to be here with all of you, and so happy that you've joined us this morning in this busy holiday season. If you're a newcomer, we're so glad you've chosen to join us this morning. While you're here, please stop by the guest table out in the lobby, pick up some information about our church, fill out a guest card so we can put you on our email list and you can learn about upcoming services and events that we have. But we're very glad you're here. I now invite Margaret Cameron up front to light our chalice and lead us in the affirmation of covenant, which again you can find printed in your order of service.
With full hearts, we affirm our relationship with one another. We recognize our agency and our connective power. And we accept our responsibility to be bold and courageous. We light this chalice, a symbol of all that we are, all that we have done together, and all that will be, as our shared ministry encourages those within and beyond our walls. Please join me in saying the affirmation of covenant you'll find in your order of service. Saying, love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other.
Hello, friends. I think I might keep you a little longer today. If you've been here before, you've heard that joke. For the ones that are new, it might just happen. So, Again, my name is Kendi Jensen-Loving. I've had the privilege to serve as the music director here at the UU Church since July of last year, and it's been a very eye-opening experience to see the amount of love and care that a congregation of friends and neighbors can pour into not only the people that are here and that are quote-unquote members, but into the wider community who are members in our world. And so it's very special for me to be here with my family and be able to share some of our traditions with you all. And if you don't know about Kwanzaa, today it's going to be a very, very quick course. So you do have homework if you want to take it home. Your insert does have some information about the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. So I'm going to do a little bit of an intro to Kwanzaa, and then I wanted to try and talk about how the 8th principle intersects with racial justice specifically involved in the celebration of Kwanzaa. And I'll try to be very quick. So Kwanzaa has symbols, has some basic symbols that we see here on our table. Kwanzaa translates from the Swahili into first fruits. So we have the first fruits of the harvest. In African tradition, there are many, many types of harvest celebrations, and Kwanzaa is our first fruits harvest. If you see, there's a brown mat that is placed on the table. That is called the nkeka. And so this is a symbolic piece of our tradition and history, and we treat it as the foundation of everything we build off of. So most Kwanzaa altars, you'll see that they're placed first as a way to build up from there. The next thing you see is our kinara. That is the candle holder. So Kwanzaa lasts 7 days, so there are 7 candles that correspond to each day of Kwanzaa. And we'll go into the colors of that in just a moment. And what I asked everyone to do that I have some great examples of is to bring corn. So in this tradition, corn symbolizes the children in your lives. We have a church right now that is bustling with kids. And so for every altar, we bring corn to represent those children, because not only are they here in the present bringing us joy, but it is symbolizing the future which they will embody. And corn is that symbol that we enjoy and that we celebrate here for Kwanzaa. Behind the corn is a small cup, and it's called the Kikombe cha Umoja. Kikombe cha Umoja. Loosely translates to the unity cup. So after every ritual, every night, after we do a different principle, we pass around the unity cup, take a sip out of it, your libation of choice. If there's children present, pomegranate juice works just fine. The ancestors understand that if you don't want to drink alcohol. And we leave a little bit out for the ancestors so that they can smell the vapors and increase their connection with us. Now, the candles that you see are called the Mishuma Saba, the 7 candles. And these are symbolic of the black candle is symbolic of all black people in the Pan-African diaspora, uniting us, because the first night of Kwanzaa is called Umoja, which means unity, which you will see on your handy-dandy handout. The other candles, the red candles, represent the blood and struggle of Pan-Africans around the world, of what we have been through and what we continue to go through. And the green candles represent our future, prosperity, fertility. That represents how we go forward and move together as a community wherever we are and make changes to our lives and to others around us. So, and then something that James said earlier, the part that the kids love of Kwanzaa is zawadi. So zawadi just means gifts. So for every, they go wild for it. So we give books as gifts for zawadi, but any family can do different things. Some people make handmade items. Some people, they create music together, and each night is a different composition. It just depends on what your family likes to do. But those are the main components of your Kwanzaa altar and how we adorn it and how we celebrate that. So on the first night of Kwanzaa, the black candle is lit, Umoja. So you can say it with me, Umoja. Umoja. Unity that brings us together. So Umoja is all about unity, not just within the home, but within your wider community, your neighbors, your neighborhood, your congregation, your city. If we can start it small, then we can spread that unity around if we can follow those principles all year round. The next one is probably the hardest one. Kujichagulia. That's good. I'll try it again. Kujichagulia. Perfect. When you hear a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old say that next to each other, it's adorable. So kujichagulia, it is translated on your sheet as self-determination. That can be a little misleading because it sounds kind of bootstrappy. But really, kujichagulia means we get to determine who we are without any outside influence. For centuries, black people have been told who and what they are by the wider society and by oppressors. And so we have had difficulty, and this is a personal story, we have had difficulty defining who we are in our place in the world. But Kujichagulia charges us to embrace ourselves and make our own path and determine who we are, not based on any outside forces. So when we have that introspection to really sit with who we are, we can say, I am Kendi, and make a new plan for tomorrow. So, Ujima. Collective work and responsibility. Really, this boils down to, if my neighbor has a problem, it is my problem. I am here for them and they for me. This is a cyclical relationship. We give and take, and we give and take, and collective work and responsibility in Ujima is encapsulated in that. This is what we do for our neighbor because they would do it for us. And even if they wouldn't do it for us, we still do it for them because we know that we are on a greater path to making sure that our community stretches further out than where it already is. Ujama. This is perfect. I didn't even plan this. I love it. I planned this, but I didn't plan that. No, I did some planning. So cooperative economics. Who shops at a black-owned business here? Who shops at a minority-owned business here? Who knows someone who owns a black-owned business or a minority business? If you know any independent contractors that sing or perform, They're a black-owned business, you know? So if you support those people, this is cooperative economics. This is putting money, putting funds, putting power into the hands of people that have historically been denied it. And so we are acting with intention to move that needle further into a positive direction for our neighbors who are, for lack of a better term, trying to live the American dream. And we all deserve that. And when we see our neighbors, when we see them making those strides, making those sacrifices, Ujamaa calls us to give to them, to support them economically, because we know that money can change things. It can change people, but it can also change things. So if we are able to put that forth, we are empowering them for a better tomorrow. Nia. If you have heard us talk to our youngest daughter, her first name is Nia. Each of our girls has a Swahili name based on one of the 7 principles and a place name based on a place that's very special to our family. So Nia, and her middle name is Skye for the Isle of Skye in Scotland. So Nia means purpose. I have never met a more purpose-driven child in my life. She knows her own mind, and she looks at me, and she does this. And she did it out of the womb. So I knew it was an issue. But to make and I'll read it here, to make our vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their greatness. When we have a specific purpose in life, when we're able to see that goal, when we have the support surrounding us, building blocks of Umoja, Kujichagulia, Ujima, and Ujamaa, when we have those foundational pieces in place, moving with a purpose is even an easier thing to do. When we are without it, it can be hard to find life's purpose. It can be hard to find tomorrow's purpose. But when we adhere to these Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles, and lean on our community, we can find it easy to find our purpose and to get that drive to go forward. The 6th principle is Kuumba, which means creativity. Making crafts, making music, painting, going out in nature, being inspired. These are all things that get creative juices flowing. These are all things that speak to a different part of our brains, that allow us to create, that allow us to share, that allow us to collaborate, that allow us to see things in a way that we might not have seen before. And Kuumba calls us to enjoy this creativity and to revel in it, because we have the opportunity to make something that has never happened before and that may never happen again. But in the moment, in the present, we are here to create and we are here to make better. The 7th and final principle of Kwanzaa is Imani, which means faith. Now, I will say, as a kid growing up in the missionary Baptist tradition, I didn't practice Kwanzaa at all. I didn't have any connection to Kwanzaa. The only connection I had to Kwanzaa was my mama had a painting on the wall that had some candles that we didn't talk about, but it just came up. And I was like, "What's that picture?" She was like, "Oh no, baby, it's just pretty." And I didn't ask any other questions. It wasn't until later that I realized that this was a portrait of, a person celebrating Kwanzaa. But until about 10, 11 years ago, I didn't celebrate it at all. It was actually James that was like, "Hey, this is a cultural holiday that we have seen and talked about, but we've never celebrated it. What do you think about that?" And I was like, "I haven't. So we should." And we have since then. And it was really their incentive that really inspired us to do this and for us to really get into the meat of this holiday. And so when I talk about faith, I don't tie it to a deity of any kind. I tie it to the faith that I have within myself, within my family, within the community. Because I know that if we are all aligned, if me as one part of the grown-ups that are in charge or responsible for the children in our home are aligned, then we have an easy access to faith for tomorrow, because we have the ability to see the bigger picture. We have ability for forethought, and we know we can carry things on in a way that is safe and accessible for all. So that's your crash course in the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Now, why does Kwanzaa matter with you? Why does it matter with the 8th principle? Well, I'll tell you. Or at least I'll try. And I'm not gonna go too far because I want to get you all home in a good hour. And as I said before, I'm used to being at church until 3 or 4 o'clock, and I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to do that to you. But when I think about the beloved community that is here, that has welcomed me and all of my family, it's incredible to see the intersections in racial justice, equality, equity that this congregation has done, is doing, and wants to do. Kwanzaa was founded in 1966 by Dr. Maulana Karenga as a response to the civil rights crisis. This was a movement for Black people to be proud of themselves. This was a movement for Black people to say, this is my culture that no one can take away. And when I think about the crossover of the work that we do here in our school communities, with our neighbors, I know we are working to not just be visitors that pass by in the struggle, but be visitors that sit in it with our neighbor and understand where they are from and take the time to understand where they are from and do better for all of us. I am very proud to be a person here. I'm very proud to do the work that I do here. And it doesn't stop when we leave, of course. It continues on. Because whenever anybody asks me, what do you do? It's like, well, I'm the director of music at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Little Rock. And I can say without a doubt that the 8th principle is alive and well here. And when I think about umoja, we want to strive for and maintain our community. The 8th principle is calling to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community. It's right there in the ink. That is the charge that the 8th principle says when it comes to umoja, when it comes to kujichagulia. The 8th principle requires us to center marginalized voices and stories. Kujichagulia affirms the right and power of all people to assert their own identity. And the 8th principle directly applies to that. When it comes to ujima, collective work, this is the very engine of the 8th principle. Ujima moves us from empathy into action. We are called because the work of building the beloved community becomes the responsibility of us to repair injustices in our world. When we think about ujama, to build and maintain our own stores and shops, we can expand this. The 8th principle challenges us to examine how we use our resources. Are we funding things that promote racial justice and equality? Are we supporting individuals and corporations and organizations that are going out into the trenches and saying DEI isn't a bad word? Are we doing things from where we are in the ways that we can to make a better tomorrow for all of us? Because when the least of us wins, all of us will win. And how the 8th purpose intersects with Nia. The purpose is explicitly collective and restorative. The 8th principle gives our faith a shared concrete purpose, the building of a just, accountable, multicultural community. And Nia provides the visionary why that fuels the long-term commitment. We have a purpose, we have a plan in order to create change. When we go to Kuumba, the work of justice is not just a political act, it's creative. Sometimes you gotta make signs in Pearson. Sometimes you gotta go in the crawl space and you gotta hide somebody. Maybe we have to be creative with how we are working towards our beloved community, but we have the ability to do that. We have the means and we have the purpose, and we can always take a step back and learn more and learn a different way to be creative and protect those who need protection. And Kuumba gives us the creative advantage to do that as it aligns with the 8th principle. And finally, Imani, to believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. The 8th principle work is long and often discouraging, as most races are. We see it every day in the news. It is a slog to get to justice, but that arc is bending. and we will get there. It may not be now, but we will get there because we have the faith of Imani as a sustaining force, and faith in the moral arc of the universe, faith in each other, faith in the value of the struggle itself, which is a very hard thing to accept, but my God, it is. It's the spiritual fuel that keeps us committed to the journey toward wholeness, even when the destination seems far. The Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, are in direct relationship with the 8th principle of Unitarian Universalism. We have an opportunity to not only learn about different cultural traditions, but we have an opportunity to do something to leave a world better than we found it and to create a better path for those who come after us. Thank you all.
I invite Margot back up to extinguish our chalice. Please join us in saying our closing words. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, and honor all beings.
Heri za Kwanzaa is Happy Kwanzaa. Matunda ya Kwanzaa. Thank you all so much for sharing in this tradition with us today. As you go out, take the words with you and help make that change, the change that you want to see in the world. Matunda ya Kwanzaa.